But it'd be funny if every time we said you like bleeped it out.
And nobody will know what it is. What's funny is I watched this episode with Mary Ellen's kids, and they were just like, "What's moo mean?" Like they were like convinced it was a real bad word. I was like, "Listen, they're gonna tell you what it means."
Yeah, Issa thought it was like a racial slur. I'm like, no, I don't think it's a racial slur.
Honeys, we're home.
Hello, and welcome to Sinclarity, a dinosaur's tale. I am your host. We're gonna need another Timmy, along with my co-host.
Hey, this is Ben Hand Up Me.
Hi, Ben. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm very energized from the appearance of Elon Musk on Saturday Night Live last night.
Yeah, you're really excited?
Yeah. Did you watch it?
Oh, yeah, it was brilliant.
Yeah, I'd say the choice of coming out and jumping into a pool of gold coins like Scrooge McDuck was fucking brilliant for one.
Where'd they get the
Best
budget
move
for that?
It's funny, he had to borrow money from Grimes. That it was almost entirely Grimes funded, which is also why I thought it was in poor taste that they did the whole Crime and Punishment parody with Pete Davidson playing Grimes as Grimes and Punishment. I didn't think that played well.
Yeah.
Also, it made no sense. He just did an Eminem parody. It didn't really like.
Yeah, he's been doing those a lot, so it kind of, but like 20 years after the fact.
Yeah,
so.
Which is a weird choice.
Next they're gonna do like a Room Raiders parody.
It's gonna be Tomb Raiders, and it's Lara Croft going into people's houses.
That's only when Angelina Jolie hosts.
But I mean, I was jealous of people in the audience for a minute when he told them to look under their chairs and there were car keys, and he was like, "You're all getting a car," and he's like, "Oh shit!" He launched them all into space, so nobody got the cars. I was like, "Okay, fine."
Also, I don't think they need keys for Teslas.
Oh well, he wasn't going to give them Teslas.
Oh yeah, they were all used Saturns.
Yeah, they were all used Saturns. That was the irony of sending it into space. He said he was trying to make it hit the rocket that was landing, but I don't think it made any sense.
No, it didn't make any sense. And then when they did the skit when he went to Mars, but it was just Kenan Thompson there. Yeah.
which is like the 5 people you'll meet on Mars are all Kenan Thompson, so that makes sense.
Yeah, all 5 of them. All 5 of
them. Well, that's the reason. Like, it's kind of a Hollywood thing. Like, he's been working in SNL for so long because he keeps switching. Like, he has a bunch of clones, and then they just shoot them into space in their favorite preferred vehicle, and they get on Mars.
Do they keep the clones on the moon
once they're done with them?
Yeah, okay.
No, they keep them on Mars when they're done with them.
Okay.
Yeah, Kenan Thompson is not allowed on the moon. He knows what he did.
He disrespected the flag up there, yeah.
Yep, he knows what he did. He tore a picture of the Pope in half on the moon. Now he's not allowed back.
He played to a he played live, not to a tape.
But I do think when they ended with the parody of the movie Tusk, but it was Musk, I think that was decent, at least.
Yeah, oh crap! What's her name? I can't think of her name.
Kate McKinnon.
Yeah, when Kate McKinnon she plays such a convincing Elon Musk. That's
yeah.
Crazy.
It was weird that they still had him there, even though she did all of it. He was just there and sitting in a chair off stage to the side, but you could see him in frame crying.
Yeah, because of laughter, because he couldn't stop
Yeah,
laughing.
exactly.
Because he loves to laugh at himself. It's
He has a
probably,
great sense of humor about himself.
yeah, it's his passion, I'm pretty sure.
Passion of the Grimes. But on this show, Sinclarity, A Dinosaur's Tale, what we normally discuss instead of Elon Musk, which I guess we've probably brought him up before, is we review episodes of the television show Dinosaurs from the early 90s.
That's right. And today we're doing episode, what was it of the podcast, Ben?
Episode 38 of the
30.
podcast.
Yeah.
38. Dirty Great.
And we're on episode 2 of season 3, and it's called Baby Talk.
Yeah, and this episode was written by Sir Victor Fresco, who we've had. He wrote High Noon.
Was he knighted?
Yeah. Just well, Elon Musk knighted him last night on SNL. Don't you know?
Oh yeah, I'm sure Victor is probably friends with a lot of the writers at SNL.
And yeah, you know, like Tina Fey, whoever writes Seth Meyers, the writers at SNL.
10 years ago, yes.
Yeah. He also wrote Refrigerator Day and We Say So Knows Best, which we just did a few weeks ago. And of course, we also know him from Santa Clarita Diet, Andy Richter Controls the Universe, shit like that. And then
the fact that he did We Say So Knows Best makes a lot of sense.
We So Soup. Yes, it does. And it was directed by Rachel Bilson's dad's dad, Bruce. And I filled you in before the show that Rachel Bilson's dad, Danny, was a producer at EA Games and helped produce The Sims and the Harry Potter games. So
the most hated gaming company in the world.
EA Games.
Unlike Elon Musk, he's very popular throughout the world.
You know, EA Games were named after Elon Musk, though.
Oh, Elon Arts.
Elon Arts. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's a branch of LucasArts.
Oh, well, at least he didn't get shut down unfairly.
Yeah. But so this episode, Baby Talk, we got a little summary for you before we get into it. It's when the dirty word smoo is said for the first time on television, and Baby repeats it constantly, getting Earl in trouble with his boss. Earl gets the parents together to protest the network to get the new shows with bad words taken off the air.
You know what? I think would be funny. Zach, I know you're listening to this while you produce it. It'd be really funny that it would be so time consuming, but it would be funny if every time we said smoo, you like bleeped it out.
Then nobody will know what it is. What's funny is I watched this episode with Mary Ellen's kids, and they were just like, "What's smoo mean?" Like they were like convinced it was a real bad word. I was like, "Listen, they're gonna tell you what it means."
Yeah, Issa thought it was like a racial slur. I'm like, no, I don't think it's a racial slur.
But yeah, I know it is not a racial slur and it's not a real word. It's one of the fake TV swear words that come up on TV shows every now and then.
Yeah, like diddler.
Yeah, so what we're dealing with here is a censorship episode, an episode about censorship.
Yeah, it's
in the vein of the one from South Park where they say shit 500 times.
Yeah, which was in response to whatever TV show let them say shit. Was it NYPD Blue or something?
I don't know. I've Googled this for 20 minutes today and could not find anything. So I'm not sure about that.
Because I always thought it was that show. Because wasn't that show in the 90s where they showed someone's ass, showed someone's bare ass on television, and that was a big deal.
Maybe, I don't know. The thing is, what's okay. I found something about it just now after looking up specifically NYPD Blue. But I guess, yeah, NYPD Blue, the cop drama, aired shit last season.
Yeah, that's it. That's what it was.
And it was also set on Chicago Hope a couple years ago, is what this is saying. But I don't know what year this, because I don't think the dinosaurs episode is directly referencing that, because I think that happened after this episode.
Well, I guess it's maybe they just used the fact that TV shows in the 90s were getting edgier and edgier.
Yeah.
So.
I was seeing something about the first time somebody said damn on TV was in the 60s. and it was just an ad lib from the actress. So, and they just kept it. So, I mean, like, people have been like foul mouthed for a while now.
Well, yeah, that's the thing too. Is like, well, let's just get into it. So like this episode is weird because it's the first one we're getting with a cold open.
Yeah, they stole that from us.
Yeah, so we get it's nighttime at the house, and Ethel is reading Fluffy the Cuddly Little Lizard to Baby.
which is great. Like it's like a nice little book. Like it starts off kind of like Bambi-esque about the cuddly little lizard in the forest, but then like Baby's already like, get to the good part.
Yeah, when his mom gets killed by a hunter.
Yeah, she collapses under the weight of like a two-barrel shotgun or something like that, a couple shells.
but then it's okay because Fluffy's got a friend named Jimmy the Weasel who knew a guy.
A guy could whack anyone for $50. So Baby's like, yay.
So maybe they're like predicting the future of the Sopranos.
That's what it is. This show set the ground for it.
They said bad words on there.
Uh-huh. And Earl and Charlene want them to quiet down because it happens they're watching a very important TV show. But Baby's just like, I love when Grandma reads to me. That's like a setup for the rest of the episode. Is that's the thing he wants to really happen, is Grandma to read to him.
Yeah, but instead they want to watch Don't Lift That Heavy Object.
Yeah, which I think is funny because Charlene stops here to explain the premise of the show. Like, it's dinosaurs caught lifting heavy objects and getting hurt. I was like, we're literally about to see that in 2 seconds.
Okay, so what I was gonna get into before we started is that so the examples that we were giving of TV shows were all scripted, but this is supposed to be like a reality, like a hidden camera reality show.
Yeah.
So the guy said a bad word, but it's not like they wrote it that he was going to say a bad word.
Well, they also could have bleeped it, which is weird too. That's the part that makes it the network choice, I guess.
I think maybe we're at like a refrigerator day thing where like refrigerator day. There was no precedent like for curse words on TV.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. They wouldn't have known to censor it. There was no. Yeah, I mean, I guess it comes up later in the episode when they do call the network and they're confused that somebody's calling.
yeah. But yeah, so it comes in the segment and prelude
to pain
because they're gonna lift a piano and the father blows out his back and he just yells, "Oh, Smoo!"
His son's just like, "Dad, you just said Smoo."
And then his response is, "Holy Smoo!"
Yeah, it's not like we're on television or anything. I like how just by him saying that, they both notice the camera simultaneously.
Yeah,
they made it happen. They willed it into existence.
So maybe they were trying to get famous.
It could have been a fake. Yeah,
they should have followed up with this father and like what he did to society. I think that would have been funny.
But yeah. So Fran, everyone in the Sinclair household overhearing this gasps. But then, like, once it's repeated, Earl and Charlene think it's funny, and they're just like, they can't say that on TV. And Earl's like, well, that's why it's so clever.
Yeah, and Baby. So the whole point is that Baby doesn't know what it means. No one will tell him what he means, but all he sees is how people are reacting to it.
Yeah,
so he thinks it's
funny.
Yeah, so he thinks it's funny, so he's just gonna roll with it.
Yeah, so this is where Baby says Smoo, and then they cue the theme song. The first cold open is finished.
Yeah, and then it just cuts back, and he keeps saying it, and Ethel's just like, "Well, you can't, like, only like bad dinosaurs say it," but he keeps asking, like, "Well, what does it mean?" And she's like, "Well, it means the bottom of a dinosaur's foot."
Yeah, because it's dirty, and that's why it's a dirty word, and why you can't say it.
Which is such, like, I know it's like over exaggerated, but that is definitely a thing where it's just like, well, why is that word bad? And no one can explain it to
you. Yeah, because they'll, like, you can say shit is bad because it means poop, but then you can say poop. So it literally is just like a thing where it's just they're cursed. They're like, well, I guess that's the whole joke in South Park episode, was that there's a literal curse on the words, and that's why they're called curse words. But
oh god,
fucking stupid. But I like we've talked about this on the show before. I think the episode with Aaron where it's more like with raising kids, it's like it's more important to teach them like not to be bad people or say mean or rude things than it is for them to arbitrarily obey rules about like which words not to say at all.
Yeah.
Like a kid saying the F word in most situations is going to be fucking hilarious. Like I was just listening to an old Mabim Bam where Justin was talking about his daughter came into the room to wake them up and they didn't want to wake up yet. So they're just like, no, just like lay down with us and just like go back to sleep. And she was like, that blue light on the TV is annoying. And he's like, yeah, it is. And he's like 90 seconds of silence. And she's like, that light's fucking crazy, man. Like that would never not be fucking hilarious. I don't know what it is. Adults cussing is just commonplace, but kids cussing is hilarious. Which we learned from this episode actually gets really old in this episode.
Yeah, which is again this show making fun of itself. Like the baby's just annoying. And
but Fran's worked up over it. Earl and Charlene are still laughing. The first time I watched this episode, I thought Charlene was crying in this scene, and I thought that was a weird change because she was laughing in the first scene. But like just the way she's emoting she's like doing this, but she's laughing, and it's just confusing.
She's been called Smoo too many times. It's hurting her feelings.
It's too much. Smoo much. But yeah, Earl tells Fran to lighten up. He's like, you think dinosaurs have so little going on in their lives that they really care about one little word that some guy said on TV?
And it cuts right to work, and Roy's just like, I'll always remember exactly where I was when that guy said Smoo on TV.
Yeah, and Harris says he's got it on tape. He must have watched it 1,000 times.
Earl laughed so hard he almost called in sick. Yeah.
Yeah, so clearly it's gonna resonate with culture. And then BP shouts for Sinclair to get in his office. And Harris remarks that he heard them laughing, so he thinks they're happy.
Yeah, he hates that. As Roy says.
Yeah, he hates it.
So Earl's in there, and he basically learns that he pushed down the most trees that month, like I guess,
or that week. It was that week.
Yeah, so he's like employee of the week or whatever, and that corporate wants to give him an award and an incentive program, as BP puts it, and he's like he wanted to hold their heads underwater until their eyes bugged out.
Yeah, I like how Earl's response to this is that surprising and unfortunate that they should notice him at all. But he does get the gift of a staple.
Yeah, just one.
Yeah, which he's always wanted. He says him and his wife have always wanted a staple at the house.
The staple of honor.
Yeah, he's gonna treasure it.
And then for some, I guess Earl just walks to work, but Fran comes in with the baby, and it was just like she brings his lunch, and Earl's babbling on, and Richfield's just like, your husband is trying to form a sentence.
Yeah, so that's what she's interrupting at the moment, is him babbling on about cherishing and all that shit.
Yeah.
And speaking of shit, baby just shouts Smoo at Mr. Richfield.
I think this is why Issa thought it was a racial slur.
Yeah, Issa's canceled.
But he wants to call him Uncle Lou, which is
supposed to be endearing. Yeah, Earl's like trying to save it each time. He's like, yeah, like, isn't it endearing that he thinks of you as an uncle? And then the baby's like, no, I said Smoo. You're a big Smoo. It's like, a big what? He said shoe, like a foot covering. It's the ultimate compliment, really. But baby reinforces, not shoe. You're a big Smoo, a big fat smooey Smoo. And Earl, of course, is like, not much I can do with that one.
Yeah, so he's offended. He's offended him.
Yeah, he's offended him because he says he was showering Earl with gifts in the form of one singular staple that was already used.
Yeah, and so Richfield shouts, he's like, you bring your child here to abuse me. I'm gonna rip your head off and play hacky sack with it.
Earl sends Fran home, tells her that parts of himself will be home later to join her.
Oh God, I love your note here.
Scene five.
Fran is abusing baby.
Well, yeah. So she has baby in the sink washing his mouth out with soap, which I had happen to me as a kid. It's just a weird thing that people used to do, and I'm sure some weirdos still fucking do it. Don't put soap in people's mouths.
It's so dumb.
It is dumb. It doesn't make any. It's like it's the most like it's so dumb to me because like the whole metaphor there is like you literally said a dirty word, so your mouth is dirty, so I'll put soap in it. That's really sadistic. Like that's weird, and you're taking it so literally that that's like cutting someone's hand off for stealing because you're like that's what they grabbed it with. Like it's very very archaic. I don't know.
Yeah. And so she's got him in the and he's even like, it's not bath time. Why am I in the bath?
But she asked him if there's any dirty words left in there, and the little bubble flies out of his mouth, and when it pops, he goes, "Smew."
Yeah, and then Robbie's just like, good work, Mom. I'm sure we've all learned a valuable lesson.
Yeah, Robbie's even just like, it's 1992, and Robbie's even like, what is this? Like, what are you doing? He's ahead of his time. I feel like people literally still do this.
Yeah. And then Earl comes in and he's all sore. And then you see the big kick me sign on his, well, it's not really his back. It's like
kind of.
It's like at the bottom of his shirt.
Yeah. And Robbie notes that some jerk must have put it there. And he's like, hey, I think Mr. Richfield has had enough name calling from you kids today. Protecting Richfield in this. Also, he could have removed the sign, but it is covering a big bruise he has for an unsightly wound.
So I guess that's why it's just there.
So I guess Richfield really did kick his ass, which is a weird concept too.
Yeah.
It puts the soap in the mouth in perspective.
So then Earl is trying to relax and watch TV
and read his paper.
Room. Yeah, and his ass hurts. And then his horrible wife, Fran, asks him to babysit.
Okay, here's the thing is, he was actually pretty receptive in this moment. He was just like, yeah, sure, dear. Like, which is weird, because normally he would not be like that. But then when he found out the baby couldn't just be put in front of the TV, that's when he gets upset about it.
Exactly.
Because he just turns the baby to face the TV and turns on the TV. And then she's just like, no, we can't. He's not watching that until they clean up their filth. And just like, what the fuck? What? If he can't watch TV, what do I do?
Yeah, so he's basically forced to play with and entertain the baby.
Yeah,
for an hour, and he's just like, an hour.
Yeah. So he starts it with "Let's play Where's Daddy," which is just him trying to trick the baby into letting him read his paper. So he just covers his face with it.
And baby just rips it apart. Like
here's Johnny.
And then so Earl just starts making faces.
Mm-hmm. Pretty good faces though.
And baby's just like, no, I'm smarter than this.
Yeah, well, he like does it like 5 times, and then he's just like, oh Jesus, like, he's tired of Daddy's tired of making faces. So he asks him what else he's got, and then it cuts to him like doing a dance number, and then
which
doing,
he loves.
Like
he loves that.
He started with the thing he was really into, and then he does like a puppet show that kind of like is reenacting the baby abusing him in a way.
The baseball bat. Yeah.
And then he hurts his hand, and then he tries to make balloon animals unsuccessfully. Does some plate spinning,
but only a minute goes by.
Yeah, so he did all that super fast. That's his fault.
Yeah, so instead he just gives up and puts baby in front of the TV again, and we get the TV and it comes on. It's like, well, sadly, the friendly bunny has been replaced in a shameless grab for ratings by the Smoo Show.
It just like starts with like some puppets singing like, we're saying Smoo because it's what we do. We're saying Smoo, and it's just for you.
Yeah, and Fran walks in and she's just like, what are you doing? Like, why are you watching this film?
And he's just like, his defense is he didn't know what the network guys were gonna do, and like she's just like, you need to like quit this TV shit and just spend quality time with your son. Yeah, and like of course that cuts to Earl just calling the network instead to tell them to stop airing the shit.
And he calls, he's like, don't try to give me the runaround because I won't take no for an answer. And he's like, yeah, a hole.
That's like when he storms into the job wizard's office with Robbie, and then he tells him to take a number, and he just walks right back out.
Yeah.
He tries to lay down the law sometimes, but he's not equipped for it.
Yeah, so we cut to Larry
A
from
return
Fran
character,
Live, from the network, where
Mr.
it just
Larry.
says behind his desk the network, and
it's the Green Day band.
yeah. And he gets a phone call from like his secretary, and it's just like, someone's here to complain about television. He's like, what? Why?
Yeah. And then it's an unprecedented act, essentially.
He's like, why would anyone call to complain about television?
But like, he answers the phone like me by saying yellow.
Yeah.
Which a lot of time when I do that and somebody's never called me before, they're like, what the fuck was that? Like, why did you say yellow? Like, I got it from my dad. I don't really understand either. But yeah, he accuses Earl of being a nut immediately.
Yeah, he's just
really
like, what?
funny little interaction.
He's like, why are you calling me? He's like, what lunatic fringe group are you a part of?
And Errol's just like, I'm not a nut. He's like, oh, sure you are. Say something nutty. Well, yeah, he says he shouldn't air the word smoo, especially when there might be children watching. And Larry explains to Earl that like he can't just respond to every wacko with a phone. But Earl says he's got a legitimate gripe here and he's gonna listen to him. And he's like, no, I'm not. He's not just listening with Frank. He's Mr. Larry. He's just gonna hang up.
Exactly. Like, why would you call and bother these people?
It's like when Ethel said she was gonna write a letter to him on that other episode.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So
we'll get back to that because her perspective has altered since then.
Yeah.
But Earl has brought the neighbors together. Wait. First, I have to mention that after he gets hung up on, Baby is dressed like Woody, not Bond. Woody the cowboy. He wants to watch TV, but Earl's like, not until my voice is heard.
Until the station is brought to their knees by common, decent folk with too much time on their hands.
Yeah, exactly. Which
the PTC did nothing wrong.
Which this is why it transfers to Earl has brought together all of his annoying neighbors for a meeting about cleaning up the TV.
Yeah, and Ethel's in the
kitchen.
She's in the kitchen with Baby, and Fran is like bringing food out, and she's like, well, we're here to talk about, about cleaning up television. Ethel's just like, you know what? I can't do it because I have a life.
Yeah, so she's decidedly against the concept of writing into shows now. But yeah, this is where Baby starts cussing out his grandma.
I know. He keeps saying smoo over and over again, and she's like, you know what? Call me when you clean up your act.
And this is the first time you can see any kind of dawn of realization upon the baby's face about how the word will affect his life. Because he's like, wait a minute, grandma won't talk to me?
Yeah, and he likes her.
Yeah,
I think he says that later in the episode.
Yeah, he also started at the beginning like he likes when grandma reads to him. So
yeah. So we're in the living room, and Turtle Puss and Lady Needlenose, they're like so distraught. Yeah, it's just like, I can't believe I have to spend all this time with my children.
Yeah, they spent all day like playing with them and talking to them, and like they're like, I can't live this way. It's miserable. But Earl has a little plan that they're gonna pressure the networks into changing the programming. And they all agree, including like that Mindy's costume's dressed up differently again. It's like
they made her look like an old lady.
Yeah, like an annoying busybody old lady. And Fran Karen. And Fran has like this little suggestion of like just paying more attention to what the kids watch when the TV's on, and like maybe hanging out with them. And Earl's just like, you need to get your own fucking club.
yeah. It's like because he's just like, he makes a point. He's just like, we're all here to listen to each other and give opinions, but yours is wrong. So yeah,
the time for reasonable discussion is gone. It's time for mindless, reckless action. So they all go march on the station. This is a side note about this scene, though. I include this in the notes. So I thought it was funny is like Fran brings them all glasses and she like sets them down next to different dinosaurs and stuff, or like hands them to certain ones, but like she never hands it to Earl and he kind of touches it and knocks the glass around. And then you see him holding it later and he puts it down. I'm just like, I bet they could not get him to actually like physically grab it correctly and it kept spilling.
Like with
I thought,
his hand.
Yeah,
it's probably
yeah.
like slipping.
So they waited till off camera for him to be holding it and set it down because like it was just really funny that like because they were like, well, it'd be weird if she didn't hand him one after handing him to everyone. But he literally like cannot seem to pick it up, and I think it's funny.
Yeah. So we cut back to, I guess it's the same day, and
Earl's like returning from picking to see if it worked yet.
Yeah, he's like, did it work? And Robbie and Charlene are watching TV in the kitchen, and it just comes up. It's like now, it's like now the Shmoo Show 7 days a week.
Yeah. So because of the controversy, it boosted the ratings, and people are now even more interested in it. So they've added the Flark Show and Kiss My Glick to the lineup.
Well, I'm glad Jiminy's getting a nice smooch.
But that's funny. Old Martin Short. But yeah, so Robbie's like, yeah, you really got him on the run, Dad. More protest rallies, they'll make it into a mini series.
Yeah. And then he goes to Baby, and Baby's like, Flark? Bad. Glick?
Jiminy Glick.
Bad. And then he's just like, Shmoo, still funny.
So Earl doesn't think he should ever have to turn off his TV set. That's still his premise because he works hard so he can park his family in front of it and drain their brains with it. So when he gets home, he barely has to wave hello.
Exactly.
So, yeah, but Fran is telling him like the network Fox don't care about your feelings, essentially. And he realizes he's gonna have to go over their heads and get the government involved. Big Govy.
A cesspool of vulgarity, as he puts it at one point when he's referring to television.
A cesspool of vulgarity. That is what it is.
So yeah, so him and his PTC, his
Karens,
his parent teacher council.
This isn't
warning.
wrestling.
Well, no, that's the right to censor, the RTC.
Oh, okay.
He's Steven Richards, and they go to the chief elders basically.
Yeah, they go to the elders, the court of the elders. They're probably in the cave of mystery or whatever. Yeah, Destiny.
Yeah, because it's the cave setting and they have the robes on, but then in the background it's like the office door.
Yeah, exactly. So they're at the cave of Destiny.
Yeah,
and Earl's giving his little speech to the elders about it, and he's like, because my appeals to the cultural elite who run television, fake news media, lamestream media were ignored. I appeal to you, the highest and most revealed authority in the land, to take action and remove the word smooth from TV and return to bars and construction sites where it belongs.
Yeah. And the elders agree. And I love it because we have the little like, I don't, would you say he's not a stenographer, but he's basically just taking the record down.
Yeah, he's taking the notes, taking the minutes.
Yeah, the Stegosaurus from the name wizard.
Yeah, he must be like a
wizard?
secretary. The name wizard. The chief elder.
Yeah. And so he's like writing it down. He's like, oh, gone. He's like, Shmoo, gone.
What about Flarkin's Glick? Oh, gone.
Yeah.
And they also like the elders thank him or Earl thanks the elders for demonstrating that public policy that affects the rights of millions can be altered by a small but vocal minority. And they're like, anytime.
This is so in reference to the wrestling, like that was always their argument about when like the PTC and stuff were coming after WWE. It was just like, oh, some crazy vocal minority.
And what's funny is it starts to immediately spiral out of control as like that Turtle Puss says kids shouldn't be allowed to say dad like that.
Yeah.
Because he hates it when his kids do, and they're like, all right, ban. And then like they ban Tush and Tushy on behalf of Mindy Karen.
Yeah, and even Earl's just like, well, wait a minute, I thought Tushy was cute.
And the elders decide that they'll make a whole list of words that bother them, and then they'll ban them. And they're like, "Why not? Why stop at words? Let's get to ideas as well."
Big brother.
So Earl is getting worried about it getting out of hand, which I think is somewhat out of character. He's not smart enough to really pick up on it yet.
No.
I feel like Robbie would have had to explain it to him.
Yeah.
But the elders tell him that freedom of speech means a world without having to supervise your kids.
Which is the dream. So.
Yeah, a world of having to. Yeah, and he's like, so if we don't have freedom of speech, you don't have to watch them. And he's like, just let the government handle it, and you can have more free time. And they all cheer, except Earl's just like, oh shit. But we get to hear the new list of laws at We Say So the next day.
Yeah, so he's like, anywhere that sounds like Smoo is prohibited. Instead of 2, we say not 1.
1, not 1, 3, 4, 5. See, it's easy.
And Sue is Millie. Cows can't say moo. Instead, they're just gonna speak.
Yeah, they have to speak in complete sentences instead.
Which I think we can assume, since the dinosaurs speak, that
cows probably do
cows
talk.
can speak. Yeah,
so like exactly. Cows are just like walking around like moo for no reason. That's essentially what it's getting at.
They're just keeping up the facade so no one notices.
Yeah. Yeah. But here's a cow tip: they can say moo. They can say more than moo.
Don't tip cows.
What if they're your server or your bartender? Your bar beef tenderloin. Never mind.
I think Chick-fil-A passed the law to prohibit that.
Fucking Kim Davis and her Chick-fil-A. But
what a piece of schmoo.
What a piece of schmoo. And but yeah, no, now we have a new curse word for Sinclarity. That's something that we're really gaining from this episode is flark, glick, and smoo.
Yeah, Jiminy.
Jiminy Glick. Jiminy Glick it. But yeah, so that they're kind of like, no, they also read that no one is allowed to question, complain, or even discuss the list, but they're discussing it right there, so they're already breaking the law.
Yeah, he's committing a federal offense.
Breaking the law.
Exactly. So he's at home, and Baby is upset because no one's reading to him. Tries to read for himself.
Yeah, I think he reads in like French or something. It's it's harder than it looks.
The language of the unlearned.
But on TV, they still have the TV on, and they're discussing the hot button issue of Flowers.
Yeah, on Shouting Match.
Yeah, on Shouting Match, which I guess is like crossover or some shit. But yeah, the one's like, I like him, and they're like, and Sue, I mean Millie. She's like, I like him too. I like daisies.
But then she had to look at the list, like what she could
what
say.
They're allowed to say. And Fran laments on nobody having the courage to say what they think anymore. She's like one of those like Jerry Seinfeld types now.
Yeah, she wants to perform at college campuses, but apparently her racist jokes don't work anymore.
They don't land anymore.
She doesn't get it.
Oh, Fran, you need to change with the times. Gotta be more PC like John Hodgman. Don't be a Mac guy like Justin Long. But yeah, so I like how Ethel comments that they're making a very controversial gravy on the recipe.
Yeah. It's fuck you gravy, I think.
That's fuck you gravy. Instead of fuck you pay me, it's fuck you gravy.
Frack you, I guess.
Flark. It's Flark, please.
But also, yeah, I think Flark.
It's Flark and Glick.
Glick. Also, though, Ethel is holding the TV guide, but it's called TV Guidebook, and I believe on the cover is Triceratops. If you look at it,
that's cute. I want these props. But Earl gets home from work and he's wearing pants. The government says they're supposed to wear them.
You know what? So before this gag, which I thought was great, I thought he was gonna come home in like a gray jumpsuit, like supposed to be like a communist or something like that, like no color.
I mean, khakis are for commies too. But he's wearing pants and it like hurts him. He's like, ow! Like he's like walking really hard, like difficult for him to walk or whatever.
Yeah, Fran's like, why are you wearing them? He's like, I have no idea.
And she's like, I'm not gonna wear this. He's like, you don't have to. Here, these are pantyhose. They're torture. You want to talk about real torture?
And there's no way those.
Which means he's already worn them.
Yeah, because he's a dancer.
He's a dancer.
But I don't think
are we
Fran
Earls or are we dancers? What about Fran?
Fran would not been able to fit in those pantyhose. She's got hips for days.
Mm-hmm. She could use it as like to rob a bank, like put them on her head. Exactly. That's about it. But for that, I wonder if they have an episode about the first bank robbery. But Fran states that this has gone too far, and Earls is like, "Well, it's what we gotta do if we want to protect our children. Believe me, it's related."
Yeah.
But Ethel finally lays down the law with the baby and says because he wants her to read to him. She's like, "If you quit saying smoo, I'll read to you." He's like, "All right."
Yeah, and Earl's just like, "What?" And he's just like, "I like grandma better."
And she says, "See, you don't have to make a federal case about it." Read the book, kid. We're back in business.
Yeah, and then it's just like Earl, he's so confused about it.
Mm-hmm.
And he realizes that, the best way to solve your problems is at home.
Yeah, your family problems are solved with your family amongst them. And Frank convinces Earl that even though the baby is getting nothing bad out of TV, he's also not getting anything good out of it, compared to especially spending quality time with his dad.
Yeah, which is a very weird turn of events because the episode ends with Earl being like, "Okay, Ethel, hand me the book," and baby looks so happy. Why is he happy?
I guess because he's probably never experienced Earl actually reading to him. Even like Roy read to the baby, even though it was a manual about setting up a disposal unit. But Earl's such an asshole that he would never even have thought to read to the baby if he could read.
So why is the baby happy though?
I mean, because he wants that attention. Maybe he also thinks that he'll get to hit him. But I do think it's interesting that the episode ends here and then the next episode is about Earl running the network. So that's some weird continuity there.
That's right. And even though it's directed and written by two different people.
yeah. We get that one. It's going to be Tim Doyle writing it and then directed by Tom Tribovic. And we should have Tim Doyle with us on that episode, which is exciting. Unless anything comes up and he can't, then we're fucked. Then we're gonna have to do whichever one he writes next. We'll pull him on, but we'll work around that. We'll work around a schedule for that so we can make sure it happens.
Either way, this is a great episode coming up. This one was it's so hard to judge, I think, by today's standards.
Yeah, that's the real especially an episode about standards and practices. But it is weird because a lot of this show, I feel like we don't have the right frame of mind to really understand. It might have been way funnier if all we had before this, if we were 25 or 30 years old in 1992, it might be different.
Yeah. Plus I feel like I don't know if the wording or maybe it's like for use of a bad analogy, the goalpost for what was PC in the 90s compared to what people compare it to now, it's almost two different things.
Yeah, the conversations about it in the early 90s were specifically just about saying dirty words, it was swear words, things that we're talking about sex and stuff like that. Whereas now it's more what's considered PC is just not being an asshole.
Yeah,
literally it's literally just changed. Because what's funny to me is the real idea of political correctness to me is I don't think people on the left are politically correct or PC. I think behaving politically correct means that you're finding a way around saying the shitty thing you want to say.
Exactly.
It's like someone like Nancy Pelosi speaks in PC ways, where it's they have shitty ideas, but they've learned how to try to word it in a way that won't be offensive or something.
Yeah, because I think the root of it is political, because you're trying to use it in a way to give you a political advantage. I feel like that has been stripped away from it, but not on the other side. People on the right, they see it as you're being political because you're saying it to try and be to cater to people on the left, stronger.
But it's funny, they're them claiming that people on the left are being like overly PC. It's just people living their lives and not saying racist things. Like they think that's PC, like just in and of itself. And it's like, no, that's just like being a normal fucking person. Like you're not being un-PC, you're being racist. Like that's the thing. Like, or you're being sexist or you're being transphobic. Like it's not that hard to figure out. Like, but everybody thinks everybody's virtue signaling. That's the whole thing. So
yeah, they're only doing it for the clout.
Which is just, I don't know, it's all fucking bizarre to me.
Yeah, this would be if they did this episode now, it'd be a totally different like spin on it. Like
yeah, it would, when we do the episode, when we do the reboot of the series, our spin on it would be extremely different.
yeah, but I mean,
it would be about baby getting dreadlocks.
And I get and like I get it. Well, that's the thing though, Ben. You say that, but there is like a cultural appropriation like episode coming up soon.
Oh, really? So they were.
I don't know what season it is, but there is an episode about like the blues. There's an episode about the blues, like blues music.
Blues.
Yeah. So that was still a thing, but I think the conversation about like language and like slippery slope arguments, were definitely a thing.
Yeah. It's definitely an interesting like episode just as the way it stands in time, I feel like, because this is even like there's still episodes within like 15 years after this one that tackle the exact same premise of like, I mean, that's like South Park has had like 80 episodes about this exact premise, and like they didn't need to because dinosaurs already did it, and they did it without being fucking annoying.
Yeah, and funny. It was funny.
Yeah,
unlike South Park. But they, I was gonna say though I do agree with. I think Fran was the only one with the right idea.
Yeah, and Ethel, I guess, in this episode did as well.
Yeah,
she knew from the beginning how to handle it, and they just didn't get it because they weren't parenting. Like even Fran should have been able to handle it the same way Ethel did, but did not get to that point.
Yeah, I mean, I think she just agreed. Like her whole thing was just like, you just need to be a better parent.
Well, that's the thing is she already was, so it's just like really just Earl just throwing the wrench in the whole thing the whole time. Like if he would have just been more attentive to begin with, or like been a better parent, like just in general being like, hey, we don't want you to say that, would have been enough. Like, but it's like the baby knows that he doesn't have a reason to respect Earl, and Earl's undermining the mom the whole time by saying that it's not a big deal and like laughing about it. So of course the baby's getting the wrong idea. So that makes sense. As us, we are both parents, so we know for sure about this topic. I am babysitting some kids overnight again tonight, and we're gonna watch a bunch of Adventure Time. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, but you're actually babysitting because they're not your children, unlike Earl, who's babysitting his own child.
Yeah, these are not mine, so I'm allowed to say babysitting is the correct word. But just like they stayed over Sunday night and we watched this episode of Dinosaurs, so I got to get their perspective throughout it. So we'll watch Network Genius tonight too.
Awesome.
They like the show. They're gonna be weird kids because of it. As the only kids that grew up watching dinosaurs. But yeah, so I don't know. It was cool, and next week we'll do Network Genius, which seems like a pretty funny episode.
Yeah, there's a lot of themes, like similar themes, honestly.
I can't wait to find out what Elon Musk does next week on SNL. He's a permanent cast member, right?
Yeah, he's gonna be like Alec Baldwin, where he just comes in,
just constantly on it.
He has a reoccurring character, but he's not actually a part of the cast.
I want him to do a reboot of 30 Rock, and he gets to be the boss now too. The Jack Donaghy. Somebody posted a picture of like Elon Musk and Grimes and said it's like when you get caught out in public with your sugar daddy, and like I did not know who either of them were in the picture. They looked so weird to me. Like he was just dressed in like a plain gray shirt and black jeans and like a black bandana around his neck. And I was just like, I just saw some chav. Like I was like, who the fuck's this guy?
Chav.
Yeah. And then like Grimes, of course, looks like straight out of Tumblr. So I was just like very confused about this. And a lot of people thought it was like a father and daughter. And I was like, oh no.
Close.
Yeah. And somebody I just saw in a comment on one of it where somebody's like, actually, don't worry, I just googled it and it's not father and daughter. Because they thought Grimes was too young to have a giant leg tattoo. And I was like, no. But yeah,
Okay.
I never knew what Grimes looked like. I just understood that there was apparently an alt chick. So
Knowledge.
I don't even know, like, a musician, right? Grimes does music.
Yes, I think
Okay.
that's what people call it. Music.
I bet it's not that bad.
Well, I was just saying in general, not that it was bad music. I'm just saying.
You just think people in general call it music?
Is this music?
Yeah, Gabriel Gundacker. Is it coming from the green or from the black? From the black? I love it. Love that. They can't hear us? Anyway, thanks to Gabriel Gundacker for existing, and thanks to Jeremy Hunter from Scotland Network for doing our theme song
and existing.
Thanks to Amy Shenanigans for existence and for doing the portraits of me and Tim for the logo, and thanks to Zachary George for existing.
Yeah,
for dropping my trombone mute off at Katie's house for me.
So I think last week I mentioned I've only heard the first episode of his new podcast, but I've been going through it. Like, I'm getting the new episodes and stuff in my feed and stuff, and it's very entertaining. So
did you fully catch up? Did you listen to the Palm Springs episode?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good movie. You got to watch it.
Yeah.
Now, you should have watched it before. Fun. It's.
I know
it fucks because like when it like actually like all the beginning, the best part is when you find out he's in the loop. Like, it's so good because it's like the lead up to it is so great. Then suddenly he's being hunted by J.K. Simmons, and you're like, what the fuck is happening? And it's just like a sudden explosion from being a normal rom-com to like something crazy is happening. So it's still worth watching, but that moment when I went into it not knowing what was going to happen, I was like, oh shit. Like,
yeah, that's the problem with the podcast. Like, if you don't like movie spoilers, obviously don't listen to that. Don't listen to that show.
Yeah, there's not a lot of the movies they cover in the first season that like I even like. I say like watch Palm Springs before you listen to the episode, and watch like that short perfect, like, what is it, perfect something about strangers,
Two Perfect Strangers,
something like that. Yeah, watch that on Netflix before you listen to the episode, but like content warning on that one because it's about police brutality and it's pretty rough.
Yeah,
it's very good though. But yeah, check out what is it, Keystone Copycats with Chris and Zach. Zach edits and produces this son of a bitch here.
Yeah,
this podcast.
And as I listen to it, Chris is a weirdo. He's a real weirdo. I like it. I like it.
Yeah, they're good. They're good hosts. They're very funny together.
And I'm gonna start me and Chris. We gotta start a wrestling podcast.
You know, Chris DM'd me about that and said he wanted to start one with me where he forces me to listen to him talk about his favorite matches while I just sit there silently.
Yeah, it should be us. It should be me and Chris.
If it was just all four of us and me and Zach are just like, yeah. Uh-huh.
It should just be called like Tag Team. That's literally it.
There you go.
Me and Chris. Or handicap match. We call it handicap match because it's the two of us, and then it's just you, and you have to listen.
But yeah, we'll get into that at some point. We'll move on to that podcast after we finish the 2 remaining seasons of Sinclarity. But yeah, thanks for joining us again this week, and we'll see you soon.
Yeah.
If you haven't been vaccinated yet, get that shit done.
Yeah, I mean, as far as I know, you don't even really need an appointment anymore.
You just fucking like, all I did was I went behind the Frisch's Big Boy, and there was a guy named Jerry there, and I was like, hey man, shoot me up, and he did.
By the dumpster.
Yeah, by the dumpster. So like, yeah, I had a great night, threw up a few times in the morning, and now I'm vaccinated.
Yeah,
I think that's cool. What happened.
Yeah, he said, hey, you should check out Days and Days, and then he left.
And I just hung out with a bald Ewan McGregor for the evening. It was great. But no, actually go somewhere, get vaccinated.
Yeah, you can go.
I got it. It was free. Is it free for everyone, or is that just Medicaid shit or Medicare?
No, it's free for anyone. And
good. Everyone. Wow, what a country.
Even
free healthcare. Commies. I knew the commies were involved.
I know, we're all gonna have to start wearing pants.
You think it's gonna be weird now that Bill Gates is gonna control us, even though he's in the middle of White Boy Summer? That's why they got divorced, so he can enjoy White Boy Summer.
Oh my god! No, there was a photo on Twitter I saw. It was like the cover of Time magazine.
Yeah,
and it was Bill Gates, Bono, and Bill Gates' ex-wife.
what the fuck?
And someone was like, "I think I know why they got a divorce."
Amazing. But yeah, we'll see y'all next week.
All right.
Enjoy your
Goodbye.
extinction.
Goodbye.